Yeah! Oh my god! He did it! He's doing it! No!
Oh, he's a level 2 Pidgey, though, so he won't be that bad, right? Squirtle. Holy shit, Squirtle. Squirtle!
You're gonna have to give me a second because I'm freaking out right now after that 0 encounter forest all the way to the bug catcher guy.
Is this only bad if they have high alert? Do I just snap to just try to eat that? Are they conceded the corrupted behemoth? What? Wow. Damn. Yeah, Dynamic Terriax. Ooh, Tower. Ooh, the dinosaur. Got. Yeah, it dies a fall.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the OPSEAT video podcast. I'm your host, Droopy Drawers, Twitch partner and social media manager for OPSEAT. Now, we created this podcast to introduce you to successful gamers who have used various strategies to build personal brands and make profit with them. Please make sure to like and subscribe wherever you enjoy your live streams or your podcasts. Now, today, we are joined by Twitch streamer MercurioBlue. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh yeah, thank you for inviting me to be on this podcast today.
Yeah, definitely. We truly appreciate you joining us. And I mean, if you don't mind, could you please just introduce yourself, or maybe let our listeners know what people might recognize you most for?
Oh hi, yeah. Yeah, my name is MercurioBlue. I've been on Twitch for the last or streaming on Twitch for the last couple of years. I used to stream a lot of Magic the Gathering and specifically MTG Arena, and then I've kind of sort of expanded my horizons or whatever. Now I'm streaming a lot of Eternal card game, so that's like what I stream mostly nowadays, and then sometimes I stream Mythgard.
There you go. And I mean, with all this time that you spent playing either trading card games, either in digital form, or I mean, I kind of looked at your Twitter profile and it says that you've been around the trading card game world for about 25 years now.
Yeah, I actually started playing Magic when I was in high school, like about 25 years ago. So it was just it was like my friends were like playing it, like they were having fun, like at lunch. I was like, oh hey, what is that thing? And then they're like, hey, it's Magic. And then we were like playing Magic, and then yeah, so I've been playing Magic, I guess, on and off for like the last 25 years. There was like a period where I wasn't like as active on the Magic scene because I was really into World of Warcraft. But yeah, I guess since like at least 2012 or so to now, I've been kind of really interested in Magic. Just playing a lot of Magic and whatnot. And it's still a game that I do enjoy playing in real life. From time to time. It's just in terms of like playing it online, I just haven't played it as much recently.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm really into Eternal right now.
And yeah. I mean, knowing that you had like put you had a little break from playing Magic all the time, and you jumped into World of Warcraft or WoW. Did you get excited when they re-released Classic, and did you play a little bit of that?
Oh yeah, I was actually in the beta for like the World of Warcraft Classic, and I was playing it a lot. Like I think I was playing it like about 30 hours a week or something. I was really into it, but then I guess it's just after I hit like the level cap, I was sort of like, I just didn't really know what I wanted to do at that point, because it felt like the best part of playing World of Warcraft was being in a guild with your friends, and then in the beta, most of my friends were like not in the beta because they only invited like a few people into it. So I was like, oh. And then when it came around to like, actually playing World of Warcraft Classic, after it was released and whatnot, it was just like, oh, I don't know if I actually have time to do that, especially because like I'm getting really into like streaming right now, and like it felt like I just didn't really have time to do both.
Yeah.
So,
and that makes a lot of sense. And I mean, from the 25 years of experience of you playing card games and playing WoW and stuff like that, I mean, what really inspired you to start creating content on Twitch?
Oh, it's like I was watching. I guess it was like when I was playing a lot of Magic the Gathering, like in real life, and then I saw, like, I was looking at some articles on Star City Games, and they mentioned, oh, hey, you should look at, Twitch streams to, like, see other people playing the game and then, get better at the game. And then I was like, oh, that's pretty exciting, just like being able to like watch someone else playing the game and then like having like listening to them share their thoughts about like what's going on in the game and such. And then I looked at that and then I was like, oh, hey, that's seemed like something that I think I could do, because people told me that I was like semi good at like Magic. And then it was also just like a way, so it's like a way of like me getting to play the game and then getting like some enjoyment out of like, I guess, explaining things that are happening in the game. It's also just like a way to like meet people too, because that was also like one of the reasons I got back into playing um paper Magic, was like the social aspect of it.
Yeah.
So that's what Twitch was basically like for me. It was just like another way of meeting new people and interacting with chat and whatnot.
Yeah, and I mean, it seems like you've been able to build like quite a quality community around either the way you talk about the game, or definitely the knowledge base of the card games that you play on stream. I mean, you've poured a lot of, I mean, not even considering before streaming, but you have probably about 336 hours just streaming Magic the Gathering alone, and 190 hours in Eternal. So you've got a decent amount of uptime on those games, and it seems like a lot of people are attracted to the ability to gather some of the knowledge that you have when you're streaming these games. Do you ever feel like through streaming you could use it to replace the traditional job, or would you want it to replace a job?
I mean, it's something that I had considered, like early on. And I thought, when I was really into the streaming, I guess, like, and I was like, oh man, this is legit. This is actually really. I felt like it was more successful than, you know what I mean? It was like I felt like I was really successful with streaming initially, and then I was considering it, but then, when I thought about like how much, I guess, how much it would actually cost like to like live in the area where I am now, like Northern California Bay Area, and then I was like, no, that's like I would probably need to have like 2,000 subscribers or something like
Yeah,
that, and that's like pretty hard, especially even in Magic or whatever. Like I think the biggest streamers now are probably like maybe around like 4,000 subscribers or whatnot. So it's not like they're basically they are making enough money to like live full time, but like they're basically like the top 0.1% or whatever, like Magic streamers and
definitely.
whatnot. And it's just also, it's like really, it's also just very inconsistent, I guess, the income that you get from streaming, because you can be streaming and then have, you know, whatever, 10,000 subscribers one day, and then like the next day it's like 6,000 or something. It's like there's a lot of ups and downs. And I mean, while I do love like streaming and you know interacting with people, it's just I don't know with like that's the type of I guess inconsistency that I could like live with right now.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
And you bring up a good point, because yeah, streaming is definitely, I mean, even viewership numbers, things like that, subscriber numbers, they can always fluctuate. And I mean, like in terms of like streaming, balancing a job and everything like that in real life, how do you manage your time effectively to be able to, I mean, put more time into streaming? And like, I mean, what are some tools that you use to manage your time effectively when you want to go live for, maybe 4 or 5 hours?
Yeah. I mean, when I first started streaming, I think I was only streaming about like 10 hours a week. And I know there were definitely some days like I'd be working and then I was like, felt like I was just too tired to actually like log in and stream. And like, because like I felt like, oh, well, like with Twitch streaming, I need to be like on, and I'm like a introverted person. So like actually being like on kind of feels like I actually have to put in a lot of energy, I guess, to being like, sociable on stream. But then I guess for me, it was just a matter of like getting into the habit of doing it. Like once I actually just start forcing myself to have like a stream schedule and then stick to it, it became easier to, log in or whatever, start streaming. And then, like after like a few months or so, like it got to the point where it's like, oh, I really want to keep continuing the streaming, you know, like even if I feel tired or a little bit tired, you know, like I still want to keep streaming because there's like people that actually told me they enjoyed watching me streaming, you know, and they look forward to watching me stream at like X time per day or whatever. So I was like, oh, okay, yeah, then it kind of felt like a like a fun little habit or whatever. Like that's what I was trying to get at, you know. So that's for me. And then I guess also like just making sure to try and get like a reasonable amount of sleep a night, that always helps. And also like,
Yeah, that's
you know,
definitely a
getting
good
some
one.
doing, and like sometimes like, you know, if I'm like really tired before stream, like just doing cardio, for example, will like help me like get like amped up before I do the stream, so I don't like feel like I'm gonna take a nap like in the middle of stream or something, you know.
Really? See, that's actually not
Yeah.
something I've ever heard on the
Yeah.
podcast before, and we've had over 50 guests on the podcast now, and
Yeah.
nobody's ever told me ever to maybe get up, do some jumping jacks, or do some cardio to maybe wake your body and your mind up a little bit. So that's actually a good tip.
Right.
I
Yeah,
like
no,
that.
I mean, for me, it's like when I do cardio, like, I mean, most people think like, oh, you do cardio and you get like really tired. But like for me, when I do cardio, it actually makes me more energetic afterwards. You know, I mean, yes, there is a little bit of tiredness, but then like the next few hours, like actually feel like way more alert, which is very helpful for like, you know, playing card games, because like trying to play card games like after taking a nap, for example, is actually found to be detrimental, because like it's hard to like actually focus on the game like right after waking up, because everything like the grogginess or whatever just makes it like hard to like recognize what's happening in a game, and it's like easier to like make mistakes as a result.
That
But you know, for me, like the cardio was actually just like had the opposite effect. It just made me more focused.
That's actually, I
Yeah.
actually, I mean, sometimes if I work out or something like that before I
Yeah.
stream or even before I go into work, I feel a lot better after just getting the blood pumping a little bit better.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's really important to just remind streamers, content creators, editors, anything that are like creating content out there on the internet to really, I mean, it's important to take care of yourself. Make sure you
Yeah.
get your good sleep, drink your water, everything like that, like in the middle of streams. And as we just found out, it's really important to do your cardio, if you're trying to wake
Right.
yourself up a little
Yeah.
bit there.
Yeah.
um, so, I mean, you've been creating content for years on Twitch now. And, I mean, how do you feel like you've been able to kind of retain or keep the audience interested with the different card games that you're playing? I mean, most of your time being, within two very similar directories. How do you keep your audience interested in the same game?
Well, I mean, that was just something that took a long time for me to like figure out, you know, because like the first year or so, I was just kind of doing magic, but then it felt like I wasn't really getting a lot of traction. I mean, I was lucky that when I started streaming, I had a few friends that were already Twitch streamers, so they would like, you know, help me out with like raids, or like they would be like, oh, they would like shout out to like their audience, like, hey, you should check out this guy who's streaming or whatever, you know. And that helped me initially, but then, you know, I really struggled to like find like, I guess, my place on Twitch or whatever. Because like, so sometimes like the audience was kind of like inconsistent or whatever. Like there'd be people that show up, you know, for like the first week or so, and then like I'd never see them again, kind of thing, in the chat. And that was also kind of like, again, that was like something I just had to like get over, is like the whole idea that, you know, their Twitch audience is going to be like transient, you know, like there's going to be people that stick around for the long haul, but then there's also going to be a decent number of people that just like show up and then like disappear. But I mean, I guess back to the original question, like just finding a place to be, you know, I kind of tried to like identify myself as like a person who likes to play card games, and like that plays the best but not get like really worked up over playing card games, because I've definitely seen like streamers that get like really worked up when like things don't go well. And I
Yeah.
mean, I think that can be entertaining, you know, like sometimes like tilt can be entertaining, but I think for me, I was trying to be like, more chilled out, especially because I'm like a lower energy person compared to like a lot of streamers that I know that are like super high energy, like they're bouncing off the walls and whatnot. But me, I just
Yeah.
try to be like calm and relaxed when I can.
Yeah, I mean,
I try not to take the game seriously too. That's the other thing. Like anybody who's watched my stream, it's like oh that guy, like I guess like I said, my approach is like it's like kind of casual, but like I'm not like crazy. It's like casual, but I still try to play the game well. That's what I
and
guess.
you are pretty good at it. I mean, you just recently,
Yeah.
I think you just recently got to Diamond 3 in Eternal.
Yeah, Diamond. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's,
I mostly used to draft a lot in Eternal, and I would get like masters or whatever in Eternal, but then I started playing some more ranked also, and I figured since I'm already in the top 10 of draft this month, whatever, like I'll just focus more on like constructed. So yeah, I've been working more on constructed, and like last month was actually the first month I guess of that I actually hit masters in both draft and constructed.
there you
But I'm
go.
still but yeah, tonight or this month I'm still working on getting masters and constructed. But
Well, with all the experience you have in all these different card games, I don't doubt that
yeah.
you'll be able to get there. And I'm kind of curious, how did you get involved in, we've talked to a couple people from the team, Team Rankstar, and I was kind of curious how you got involved in the team.
Yeah, actually it was kind of like a lucky meeting where I was friends with this other streamer, Ileon,
Hmm.
whatever, who's like a Twitch partner, and he's been on Twitch for like 7 years or something. But
That's a good
he
amount
was
of time.
friends with, yeah, he was friends with Mitch Gross from Ink Gaming, whatever, who's also on Team Rankstar. And then a few months ago, like Mitch like approached me and he was like, "Hey, you want to fill out this? You want to do an interview on Ink Gaming?" I was like, "Sure." And then yeah, I did this interview on Ink Gaming, and then like a month or two after that, Aphelion or whatever, the leader of Team Rankstar, like contacted me, and then he was like invited me to be on Team Rankstar.
There you go.
So yeah,
That's really cool. And I
yeah,
mean,
it was actually a really cool opportunity. I didn't realize that I was making that much of an impact, I guess, on the Twitch streaming world that I got invited to an esports team. But I was pretty excited when that happened.
definitely. And Team Rankstar kind of isn't the typical Twitch stream team norm. It's a really cool team that offers like podcasts and like different tutorials, and I mean they work within gaming and things like that. What are some like benefits that you really enjoy being a part of like a stream team?
Well, I've actually been on like a couple other stream teams in the past, but I guess they were like more like loose streaming collectives and such. Like I was on F2K Comnet. Like I think I joined up with them like last year, and then I've also on like a Team Aether, which was like a Magic oriented stream team. But I think the main benefit of being on any stream team is just getting to is like networking and getting to like interact with other people that are also streaming and they have some of the same struggles and some of the same victories that like you would be having in the streaming world. It was just really nice to be able to like meet other people that some of them were in the same place I was, some of them were like further on, like they'd already had like a decent amount of success, and then some of them were like people that were just starting out. I felt like, oh, like it was just a nice little mix of people to like interact with and go like, oh, I remember when I was doing that, or this person clearly knows what they're doing because they're successful already, and etc. But yeah, that was like the best part basically of being on a stream team, was just getting to meet all the people and then make some friends through the stream discords and whatnot.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, community is, one of the reasons why I guess you even started, either playing Magic or streaming it, is to be able to meet new people, and it's always really beneficial to be able to get on a team where people are able to like share and celebrate similar stories and things that you're going through or have gone through before. If anybody listening has yet to ever feel out like a stream team or anything like that, we highly recommend it. Like getting involved in communities is very important, as you say, networking is very important, and just getting together with people who do what you do is just always just beneficial. Now, I'm kind of curious. I mean, you've always basically played like Magic the Gathering or Eternal, but if you ever took a different route and you had to pick a different main game, what do you think it would be?
Oh, that's actually a really good question, because I think when I first started out, I sort of fancied myself doing like variety gaming at one point. I was like, oh, I could just be a variety gamer, which is a lot of fun, but it's a lot of fun just getting like play different games and check out, have different experiences and whatnot, because card games do get a little repetitive after a while, because you just kind of go through the motions. It's like, oh, I've played this card 1,000 times or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like it's not really that exciting outside of like doing tournaments or like waiting for like new expansions or whatever. Like I guess new expansions are like thing, but like variety games, it's like you're literally getting a new experience like every week or whatever, because like usually people in variety are like literally changing games every week. And I mean that was something that I was contemplating, but then I just figured like, oh, it's actually kind of hard to like get any kind of audience doing purely variety. And I know like probably 100 different people that do variety, and like I mean they just love playing variety or whatever. But I mean it is just really hard to build up community that way. Like I think some of them were actually pretty lucky because they have very active discords. That's how they keep their communities growing, is like they just have like a very loyal and devoted fan base that will like hang out on the Discord and like chat when there's like no stream happening. But I mean, if you're asking like a specific game, I don't know. I guess like I said, variety, and I've probably been doing all like role playing games, I guess.
Like
I'm
GTA
actually kind of
RP
interested.
or
I'm actually kind of interested in roguelike card games, because there's been a lot of roguelike card games which aren't really. I mean, they have some similarities to like I guess Magic, Hearthstone, Eternal, or whatever, but they're not against like other people.
yeah.
I guess what I mean by that, I mean like stuff like Slay the Spire
Mm-hmm.
or Nowhere Prophet, or like Griftlands, for example.
And that definitely makes sense. And yeah, to
Yeah.
allude to your point, like variety streaming. So I've been a variety streamer on Twitch for about 4 years, and talk about influxes of
Right.
numbers or anything like that. Like you could play one game and you could have a couple hundred people, and you could play another game and you could have five.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's one of those things where like it is nice that you're able to basically perfect your craft in the directory that you're in. And it's nice that like I mean you do bounce back between Magic Gathering and Eternal, which kind of gives you a little bit of variety between the two different card games when you get tired of one or the other. But I mean, like watching your stream and like even the intro, I'm just kind of curious. Like, is there a significance to the red fox on your intro scene?
Oh, I just really like foxes. I mean, that's just like I was like looking at other people like streams, and then they sort of they like identified with like cats, for example, and then
Yeah,
some people like they identify with dogs. I was like, well, like foxes are kind of like cat dogs. They're like
a
dogs
little
that
mix
act
of
like
both.
cats.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I was like, let's just kind of do the fox thing, and then yeah, that's why I have all the fox emotes. 'Cause, yeah, I just really like foxes.
there you go.
Yeah.
Now with like the audience that you've had and that you've been able to maintain, basically always playing the games that you do. Do you ever feel like the audience has a specific impact on what you do or how you play?
Oh, I mean, there's been times when, like, yeah, like, somebody will suggest, here's a deck you should play or whatever, and then I play it, and then they're like, oh, do this or do that, or like they try to like walk me through the entire deck, which is kind of cute, but I know like it's not something that I would necessarily want to rely on entirely, like chat. Chat plays
Yeah,
chat plays Magic or something, or chat plays Eternal. It's not something I really want to rely on entirely, because I mean, I have to be the person in control of like the stream and such. But sometimes, like, that's what really meant. Like sometimes the chat like gets involved in like, oh hey, you should play this type of deck and stuff. I mean, it is a good way of getting like chat involved, because they tend to get like more emotionally invested in something if it's like a pet deck that they created, as opposed to like just watching somebody else play like a tier 1 net deck like all day.
definitely. And I mean, at the end of the day, it is your stream, and it's nice to be able to like hold back the reins and let people know it is yours. And then I'm curious, but what about yourself? Do you think is the trait that helps you become the most successful in this field?
Most successful in the field, yeah, I think I would just say, like, I guess I'm just I try to present myself in like a very genuine way. Like the stuff that you see like when you watch me streaming is basically exactly the way that I would act in real life. Like I'm like very honest like about exactly what I do, and then like I'm like honest when I say like, oh, I don't know. Like I'm honest about my own play level, for example, and I'm like honest about like, oh, things that happen in the game is like, oh, that was like that I really made a mistake there and such, or like,
There you go.
or my opponent made a good play. Like I guess that's just what I'm trying to get at, is like I try not to like fake. I don't fake anything. Like everything I do is like just 100% like genuine to myself. That's how I would say like how I mean, I think I'm not saying that other streamers are fake. I'm just saying, like, there's definitely some amount of like theatrics or whatever that
Yeah,
like people get into. Like, they can get into like a streaming character, I guess,
definitely.
but I don't really do that.
You keep the theatrics to the bare minimum,
Yeah,
or even not at all.
yeah,
And I mean, I'm sure the community just really appreciates, especially in the TCG world, just like being a genuine person and a genuine streamer, and just like knowing
yeah,
what you can do with like your strategies and everything. It just people want to be able to expect a certain kind of quality of person, I think, and that's probably really helping you be successful, and it's really cool. Now I'm curious. I mean, recently Shroud switched over to Mixer. I mean, that was the big news today. Would you ever switch platforms if presented the opportunity?
Oh, I mean, I have. I think when Ninja moved over next Mixer, I actually did consider like consider moving over there. I actually looked at, I guess, what the categories like, or what the, I guess, viewer levels were in like card game categories there, and then I looked at like Magic, and I looked at Eternal, and they actually didn't even have like an Eternal category on
Really?
Mixer when I looked there. And then I think Magic probably had something like an average of like 10 viewers total or something like that on Mixer. So it's like, I don't know, like if I decided to go directly, like if I decided to switch into like variety games someday, maybe, because it feels like it's better to be like a variety game or like a first person shoot, like a Fortnite streamer or whatever, than move to
Yeah.
Mixer, or as opposed to like being a card game streamer, because I just don't think that the market is there yet for
Yeah.
card game streamers. Like
You would
because it
have to
feels like
create
most of the
that
people that are
market.
watching there are just watching for first person or third person shooters.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, a lot of people listening, they might want to be able to get to where you're at, the level that you've been streaming, and you've been streaming for a while. But what advice would you be able to give somebody trying to become, maybe a trading card game streamer?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you really want to be successful in streaming in general, like you have to get to know the other people who are streaming in your category as well, and then like make or build relationships with them, because I found that like streaming really isn't like a solo effort. You really do need to get like help from like other people at times, because like from what I've seen is like, I guess it's like that saying that a rising tide lifts all the boats or whatever. So like you have to try and work with other people in your streaming category to like, for that, so that everyone can be successful.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
mean, that's like very, very important, especially like when the creators basically create the directory that they're in. So like
Yeah.
there was at one point there was one person who just decided to stream in that category, and then obviously there were
Yeah.
more, but they created that niche of people wanting to watch that content. And if that wasn't ever initially created, then there wouldn't really be a Magic the Gathering
Right.
directory.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think with card games now, like there's usually more, I guess, like there aren't really like, I think like card game developers have started to realize like, oh hey, if we get streamers from like other card games to stream our game, like it's going to be like more interesting to like the average user. So it's like, I guess it's not as I guess it's not as much of as like a frontier, like Wild Wild West or whatever of streaming as it used to be, because usually like card game developers get somebody who's already like established in streaming and some other card game to like stream their card game for a little bit, and then that sort of like seeds other people to start streaming it. Like, oh, this really big streamer streaming it, like I should get in on that and stuff.
True, true.
Yeah.
So with the amount of time you've been streaming, what would you say is your favorite accomplishment doing what you do?
Oh, I guess it's just I think my favorite accomplishment is just, seeing how I've touched the lives of, the people that that were watching the stream, like, because I think it was like, it's not even about like the subscriber number, or, like the viewer number, or the follow number. It's like the first time that somebody actually came in the chat and then they told me like that they were having a bad day, but then watching my stream made their day better. That was actually like, I think my favorite accomplishment basically with streaming. Just being able to like know that I had like a positive impact on someone else's life like that.
Definitely. So you're not only just meeting new people, you have an impact on them as well.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, over the years, there are bound to be things that don't necessarily go the way you had hoped. If you don't mind sharing, what do you think might have been one of your biggest learning experiences during the time you've spent streaming?
I think learning experience was just like consistency was like a big thing, because like I was saying earlier in my career, I was trying to figure out what game that I really wanted to stream, because I didn't always just focus on card games. I definitely was kind of jumping between different games because I was just trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and it did get a little bit. There definitely were some down days when I was like streaming, like say Assassin's Creed or whatever, and then like nobody would watch it, and I'm like, oh, it's a little bit disappointing, but it's also understandable because there's only so many people who actually want to watch, like say Assassin's Creed Odyssey, or it's like for example, like if I'm streaming like a game that just came out or something, like when I was streaming Shadow of War or whatever, like that's like, oh right, there's like 300 other people streaming it, so I don't expect that anybody new is going to like discover the stream at that point. That was also like one of the reasons that I was trying to get away from variety gaming, because it felt like a lot of the categories were either very saturated, or like they might be categories of only like 5 streamers in it, but there's like literally like 5 viewers or something also. It's like
Definitely, definitely. I mean,
it's like feast or famine, basically.
Yep. And I mean, discoverability is one of the hardest things to overcome on a platform the size of Twitch. I mean, saturation is a huge thing. Luckily, there is some recent tools that have finally been coming out. Like now, you can actually filter by views of lowest to highest, or highest to lowest, or even recommended, which is really cool.
Yeah, I've actually heard that the recommended is actually recommending channels that aren't like the highest anymore too.
Yeah.
It's kind of
You'll go through the
useful,
directory
yeah.
and you'll see one that
Yeah.
has like 2,000 viewers, and then you'll see the next one with 7.
Yeah.
I think it's brilliant. I'm really happy that that's a thing now.
Right.
And it's something that the community's been asking for a while. But I'm for those listening, if you don't mind, where would people go to find out, about what you do? Do you typically direct people to your Twitter, or do you just send them straight to your Twitch channel?
Oh, I guess it's like I usually just tell people to check out my Twitter because like during like the last 12 months or so, I've been making a serious effort to be like very active on Twitter. Like the first 9 years or so I was using Twitter, I basically just did it like it was basically like I did like the most passive amount of interaction on Twitter like could. Like maybe I like somebody's thing or whatever, or I like it or whatever. I post something like, "Oh, I'm going live" or whatever. But like
Yeah.
like the last 12 months or so, I made like a concerted effort to be like more interactive on Twitter. Like somebody says like I did something, I was like, "Oh, that's awesome!" Like I'd actually type that out or whatever, and like I like because like that actually makes a difference. I've noticed is like just actually posting like a real comment in response to somebody else's Twitter post, and like sometimes I would like uh actually retweet somebody's something like their announcement or something, but then I would put like a comment. It's like check this out. They did something really great or whatever,
Yeah.
and then etc. And like, but yeah, I just try to get people to check out the Twitter now because like I think Twitch they got rid of like the announcements thing or whatever because I remember there used to be like some kind of announcements panel on Twitch and I don't see it anymore. So like I think that's the best way basically is keep people that are interested in the stream like just tell them to check out the Twitter or like Discord.
Yeah, I forgot about that. There was an announcements thing that was basically like
You know.
kind of like your own like little Facebook wall where you could post like
Yeah,
little
you could
things
say
on
like,
there.
"Oh, I'm sick" or something, and then, or whatever, or this is my special event coming up. I mean, you can still do events, but you
Yeah.
can't like say a lot about it, because it's like not like
I totally forgot about that. That was a
yeah,
thing. That was a
yeah,
while ago.
yeah.
But yeah, it honestly, it has been a complete pleasure having you on the OPC podcast. And if you don't mind, if you want to go ahead and shout out your channels, different things like that for those that might be listening. But it's been a pleasure kind of learning about your journey going through, over 25 years of like playing trading card
Right.
games and just like perfecting your craft.
Yeah.
It's really been an honor to have you on the OPC podcast.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I've actually really enjoyed being on the podcast today, and I'm glad that you had me here or invited me to be on this. Yeah, it's been a it's been an awesome time. And yeah, if people want to check out my Twitch channel, it's at MercurioBlue, and then I also have a Twitter, which is also at MercurioBlue.
Awesome. Thank you so very much. And I hope everything goes well for you. And thank you,
Thank
truly.
you very much. Yeah. Well, I hope you have a nice day, and thank you for your time.
You as well.